Hello, hello, welcome in. Hello, Alexia and Alicia's here. Oh my God, hello. Okay. Hello, everyone, and iPhone 266. Welcome, Brett. Hello. Thank you all for coming. People will kind of be trickling in, but we have a lot to get to in this next hour, so I am just going to kick us off right away, and people will just come in as they come in, which is wonderful. Hello, Cecilia. All right, I'm gonna pin myself just so everyone can know kind of who's talking as people roll in. Welcome to Set Your Goals for 2026. Thank you all so much for being here. I know the end of the year gets hectic, so thank you for finding an hour to set aside for your future self. Today, if you're wondering who's talking, hi, I'm Claire, if we haven't met before. I'm the founder of the Meeting Medic. I'm half of the Facilitator Cards team. What's important to know is that today I'll be your captain for the next hour and kind of guide you through your goal setting process. Today, we are going to brainstorm our possible 2026 goals. We are then going to organize and categorize those goals. We're going to start to make a plan for how we can achieve the goal we are most passionate about after that brainstorm. And very quickly at the beginning, we are going to celebrate some of our accomplishments for 2025. For this session, you are going to need some space on your desk or your writing surface. So if you don't have space in front of you, feel free to start clearing some of that off as I'm talking. You are going to need sticky notes. If you don't have physical sticky notes, you can feel free to run and grab them, cut up a piece of paper, or I have a digital option for anyone who does not have physical sticky notes. But the important part is that having a small container for each one of your goals later. So that's why I'm emphasizing those. I would love if everybody had their favorite pen because I enjoy writing with my favorite pen the most. And then we'll be using our planners at the very end. So anything you use to plan or time block your schedule. Those are just all of the materials you'll need today, other than your lovely brain. So uh, people have joined as I have been talking. So what I would love to do, since this is a Zoom meeting and we didn't all get to kind of roll in and grab coffee together, is I will invite everyone to just unmute for a second. I'm going to count down three, two, one, and then we're all just going to wave and say hello to each other because that's what we would have done had we been in a real room together. So if everybody just wants to unmute, it's okay if your background is a little noisy. This won't take long. Okay. Ready. Okay, great. Three, two, one. Hello. Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Good
Good
morning, good
morning.
afternoon, and good evening. I'm not sure exactly where people are calling in from, so if you want to leave that information in the chat, wonderful. At no point today do you have to come off of mute again or be on camera, whatever is best for you. I encourage you to do this. This session is really for you and for your goals for next year. So before we start thinking about next year, what I would love to know is if everybody could open up the chat and just fill in this blank for me. Oh, kind of. I'm kind of in Brooklyn. I'm in Ridgewood, so I'm right on the border of Brooklyn and Queens. So sorry, we're gonna fill in this blank, which is one thing I accomplished this year is blank. One thing I accomplished this year is blank. And you can just fill that in the chat. Oh, cool, we're getting some rolling in. Wow, that's so same, Courtney. I'm right there with you. I think that is a huge accomplishment for this year. Oh, this is so great. This is so wonderful. Okay, amazing. Something that is already happening in these goals that I just want to, I think is a nice general reminder is that your goals can be anything that you want them to be. They don't have to be specific, they don't have to be grandiose, and they can absolutely be something that brought you joy, closure, whatever it is. So just keep that in mind as you're thinking about your next year goals. We are about to start thinking about next year. Feel free to keep sending those responses into the chat. But before we actually start physically writing out our goals, what I'm going to invite everyone to do, because I know that Zooms are a little strange and that some people might have just come from their previous meeting straight into this one. So what I want to do is give us a chance to actually just like reset, ground, and arrive here in this moment where we're going to be for the next 55 minutes thinking about our future selves. So what I'm going to invite everybody to do is actually turn off their cameras, and we are going to take 5 deep breaths. If you have a breathing methodology that you like to follow, feel free to do that. But otherwise, it's just 5 of the deepest breaths you've taken all day. And while you're doing those deep breaths, what I'll encourage you to be thinking about is just where do you want to be this time next year? And when you're done taking your deep breaths, you can turn your cameras back on. Okay. Thank you all for being game, getting a little grounded. Okay, we are about to get into the physical writing. Before we do, I would just like to give you three quick kind of reminders about goals. Um, Hopefully I'm not, okay, great. One is that writing down your goals helps you achieve them. So just by writing them down, you are already making advancements towards achieving them. Another one is that there's no pressure to set big goals, or as I like to call them, noble goals. You're not going to share these with anyone, so they don't need to be grandiose. I think a lot of times when we don't achieve things, it's because we tried to go for the maximum version of it rather than an attainable, achievable version of it. And the other thing I always like to encourage with goals is to consider your frequency over consistency. So what I mean by that is like I've had a goal for the last 5 years to write 52 blogs every single year. That can break down to one blog per week. But the reason that I do 52 in a year is that so if I miss a week, I don't feel like, oh, the goal is gone. There's no achieving that. And so this year, I'm doing 12 in a row right at the end so that I'm still going to achieve that goal. I'm just making it, tiny bit harder for myself timing wise. So give yourself some wiggle room. These do not have to be definitive and firm. Okay, we are going to use sticky notes for this next part. Um, we are going to be in the main room. Um, if you are using digital sticky notes, you can stay in the main room and there will be a whiteboard on Zoom for you to use. So you don't have to have your own physical sticky notes. You are welcome to stay in the main room to write your goals. You're going to have 8 minutes for this initial brainstorm. You're going to take your sticky notes and you're going to write one of your goals per sticky. Or you can go into a solo breakout room. So you will be the only person in there. It'll just be you in that space, and that way you don't have to worry about being on camera or paying attention to the time. You'll just come back when the 8 minutes are over. Okay. So I'm going to open up all the rooms, and you can feel free to head off and start brainstorming on your sticky notes. Make sure you keep it to one idea per sticky. The prompt is next year I want to ... And that's all you're writing on your sticky notes. So the breakout rooms are open. If you want to head off into your breakout rooms, you absolutely can. If you want to use the digital whiteboard, you can feel free to do that as well. I will open that for you in just a second.
Sorry, Claire, are we supposed to do as many as we can, or like as many as come to mind?
As
Or
many as come to mind, yeah. I would
okay,
say if you get on a roll, stay on that roll. And if you start to peter out, you can absolutely start to kind of organize them and things like that.
okay, great, thanks.
Absolutely. If you're using the digital whiteboard, feel free to just grab any of the stickies from the middle and drag them to a section. The sticky notes are also in the toolbar. And to create another sticky note while you're typing, just hit tab and it will automatically make it for you. We have about 3 minutes left in this initial brainstorm, just for everyone in the main room. Okay, the breakout rooms are closed and this timer is over. So you have about 30 seconds before everybody comes on back. So feel free to use this time to wrap up any sticky notes you're writing on. I will close the whiteboard in about 17 seconds and I'll open it back up again for anyone who needs it. Okay. Great. Okay, everybody should be back from their breakout rooms. So that was the initial brainstorm. Thank you all so much for being game. I hope you came up with a lot of ideas. If anyone wants to share if that experience was unique because of the sticky notes, feel free to pop that in the chat. Or if you came up with one that just made you laugh, I would also love to hear that. I think brainstorming is so fun when you let your ideas really go different places. Okay, what we're going to do next is categorize the sticky notes that we just made. So I'm going to take over the screen again. So categorization is going to take 2 rounds. So in this first round, I'm going to give you 2 minutes and just read through all the stickies you wrote and then take out any that don't appeal to you. Just the ones you don't want to think about. Before you do this, I'll encourage you to take a photo if you want to of all of your lovely ideas so that you have them for later in case you crinkle or smudge a sticky note or anything like that. But just take the next 2 minutes and eliminate any sticky notes. Was anyone using the whiteboard? Do I need to open the whiteboard back up for folks? Okay, not going to then. So The 2-minute timer will be on the screen and feel free to eliminate. If you're done elimination and you want to start organizing them, that's what we're going to do next. But if you're not done eliminating, don't worry. You still have 20 more seconds to get rid of any that you don't want to do next year. 3, 2, 1. All right, elimination round one is done. Hopefully you've reduced your stickies down to just the ones that you'd be interested in actually achieving next year. What we're going to do next is to group the remaining stickies on your desk by theme or topic. So if you've got professional, personal, short-term, long-term, anything that's coming up that you're noticing, just lay those out in a row, and start to think through. Start as you're going through them again, just, think through which ones are really standing out to you as ones that you absolutely want to commit to for next year. You don't have to make a choice now, but just start having that on the brain. I'm going to give you another 2 minutes to categorize them. If anybody's done categorizing and wants to put a theme or topic that stood out to them in the chat, feel free. Otherwise, you got 15 seconds left to kind of get them organized. All right, great job. We are done with the organizing. So ideally, you've got some categories. Use of free time. Oh, what a cool one. That's a great category. Um, Wonderful. I always love finding out what people's goals are through themes. I think it's a really interesting way to look at where your kind of concentration is at the moment for what you want to do in the future. Okay. So I'm going to invite you to take another photo of all of your goals categorized by theme, because what we're going to do next is get rid of the majority of them and narrow it down so that we're just focusing on three main goals. So I'm going to give you just 1 minute. Be as brutal as you want to be. You can always go back later, but just eliminate your goals down to three major goals, the ones that stand out most to you or appeal most to you. Tips on eliminating on it. All of these are written and you have hopefully a photo of them as well. So you can always go back to them. You're not eliminating them for real. But just try to think about which one you'd be most excited to plan. I'll give you a little spoiler. Or the one that you want to spend the most time thinking about for the remainder of this session should definitely be included. Okay. Hopefully everyone's gotten down to three, because what we're going to do next is pick the main goal. The number one goal doesn't have to be the actual number one goal, but just whichever goal you would like to spend your time thinking about for the majority of the remainder of this session. So whichever one you're most interested in planning or spending the most time with, possibly the one that you would spend the least time with in any other circumstance. At work, sometimes we're encouraged to set goals, but not necessarily in our personal lives. So whichever appeals most to you. I'm going to give you another minute to just think about the main goal. Just pick your sticky, and then we'll all hold up our sticky note graveyards to each other. 3, 2, 1. All right. Great. Thank you all for being game. If everybody wants to, you can hold up all your sticky notes that you just got rid of. Oh my God, amazing. I love that they create a little physical pile. Um, Look at all of our hopes and dreams for the next year. Look at all the things we've already thought of today. Virtual got rid of 7. Incredible. I will say hitting delete on a sticky or just like moving it to another part of the screen, like getting it off my mural board, so satisfying. I love digital whiteboards, which is a thing I didn't think I'd have strong opinions on, but here we are. Okay, so now that we have our one goal, what we are going to do next is another round of sticky note brainstorming. What I would like you to do is think about all of the necessary steps that are going to get you to achieve that goal next year. So these can be the big steps and then break them down little by little, kind of underneath those. So if your goal is to write a screenplay, you have to write act one at some point. So you can think about it that way, or you can think about like every day, I want to write this amount of words, whatever will kind of guide you towards your goal. I'm going to open up the breakout rooms again for people who want to go back into their solo breakout rooms. I'm going to give you 10 minutes for this, and hopefully that is enough time for everyone. And if you are done planning this goal, you can absolutely start planning another one if that appeals to you, or um, you can get even more detailed about this one. If you get stuck at any point, if you feel like, oh no, I don't know where to start or what the middle would be, I'll encourage you to think about where the end of the goal and then work backwards from there. So it's like the second to last step. You are, in fact, writing a screenplay for your goal. I share that goal, my friend. This will be the third year it is on my list. So I'm going to put the chat in the prompt. The breakout rooms all have 10 minutes and they are open for you if you would like to do your solo breakout. And otherwise, I will be quiet for the next 10 minutes. All right, time is up in the main room. Breakout rooms are closed, so people are going to be rolling back in. If you want to in the chat, tell me the smallest step that you wrote down on your sticky notes, like the one that would take the least amount of time, because I always find that one charming. All right. Welcome back. I hope everyone had a wonderful time thinking about their goal. If you'd like to in the chat, I'm going to invite you to take the smallest step that you wrote down and just let us know what it is in the chat with no context. Just what your simplest step is and written down on your sticky note. Um, Incredible. Okay, that's so wonderful. Great. Really love yours, Courtney. I have a brother named Brian, so that's where my brain immediately went. Okay, now that you have all of your steps, feel free to take a picture of them. We're not going to eliminate any really, but just so that in case they smudge or anything like that in the next few minutes. Finding a new mentor, totally. Oh, Nora, I really like yours too. I love all of these. These are so fun. Okay, so take a picture of all of your steps. What we are going to do next is set aside a tiny bit of time in our schedules to make sure that we take at least one of these steps. So it doesn't have to be necessarily like the first step or the biggest step. It doesn't have to be a long period of time. It can just be like 5 minutes. I'm going to register that PO box next Friday, or sorry to use a real example from the list, but I'm going to make that review form for me. I'm going to make that review form after this workshop. So open up your calendar, grab your bullet journal, whatever you use to kind of keep track of things, and just find a chunk of time that you can set aside to start working towards this goal. Yes, almost nailed it, Alexia. Perfect. Okay, so I'm just gonna put 3 minutes so that no one's wondering how much time there's left. You can also start making more plans than just that one plan if you'd like to. But just set aside one smallest amount of time, 5 minutes even, to start working towards your goal. All right, some people are already out here achieving their goals. Incredible. So great. If you want to, you can take the second step and find a spot for that on your calendar. But if you've already done it, congratulations. I hope I hope this was all worth it just for that one moment, honestly. It's great when we start working towards it. I will be quiet and let people focus on their calendars. I'm sorry. All right, great. Hope everybody found time in their calendar for taking that first step or third step, who knows? Some people already accomplished their first step just in those 3 minutes, so congratulations to everyone who did. Um, and okay, what we are going to do next is reflect on why that goal matters to us, kind of bring it on back home. I have two kind of ways that we can do this. So we are going to take a poll. If you would like to discuss your goal with 1 to 2 other people, you can go into a breakout room at this time and do that. And if you don't want to do that, you can stay in this main room and we are going to do a 5 whys reflection. So I'll give you a prompt for your breakout room for anyone who wants to do that. And for those of us who don't want to chat out loud, we'll stay in the main room and do a 5 whys. So you can just answer that poll. Okay. It's looking like no one's heading into a breakout room so far, unless these last 2 folks are the outliers. Okay. Has everyone made a choice who wanted to make a choice? Wonderful. Okay. Great. No breakout rooms. We are all going to stay in this main room. And collectively, we're going to do a 5 whys. If you've never done a 5 whys before, don't worry. I'll walk you through every single step. So you can do this on sticky notes because we're going to keep our answers pretty brief for each one. Or if you'd like to, you can absolutely feel free to take out a piece of paper and write this traditional longhand notebook style. Okay, everybody's got writing utensils ready to go. So for your first sentence, I'm going to encourage you, keep your first sentence as brief as possible. Don't go into too many details. I'm going to give you 2 options for prompts in terms of writing that first sentence, so you can pick whichever one appeals most to you. So you can either write your first sentence as accomplishing this goal is important because, and then keep that answer quite brief, or accomplishing this goal will make blank possible, and just fill in that blank. And that's going to be your top sentence in this 5 whys. Okay, going to give everybody about 5 more seconds. That first sentence. Okay, now that you have your first sentence, directly below that, what I'd love you to write is in response to that first sentence, why is your answer to that sentence true or important? Why is your answer true or important? Okay, I'm going to encourage you to start wrapping up that sentence. Try to keep these, well, we have 3 more to go, so you'll have plenty of time to explore more thoughts around this question. Okay, everybody's ready. Read your response that you just wrote down, and then beneath that, answer again, why is what you just wrote down true or important? Okay, start wrapping up that sentence. And again, going to encourage you to read your previous response and then once again answer, why is what you just wrote true or important? All right, start wrapping up that sentence. Sentence 4. And one last time, why is what you just wrote down true or important? That'll be your fifth why. All right. Going to give everybody about 10 more seconds. You can finish any other sentences that you might have fragmented while we were doing the exercise. And once everyone, if people want to give me a thumbs up, if you're on camera, you can just do it with your thumb, or if you want to use an emoji if you're off camera when you're done. I love the exploding emojis. So great. Okay. Wonderful. So Five Whys is one of my favorite deep thought exercises. It's a great way to really get to the heart of why this is so important to us. I don't think we often give ourselves time to really be extremely thoughtful when we're just running through our days without somebody prompting us to. So I always like to create spaces for people to be able to think deeply about just one thing and something that's really important to them. I think we often spend a lot of time thinking about other people, and sometimes we need to be reminded to really prioritize ourselves and our goals. So, what I would love everyone to do is open up the chat and just type in any one of your answers. No context, just give me one of the sentences that you would love to share with everyone. These are so wonderful. If you finish writing, I really encourage you to read through everyone else's responses. People are already leaving emojis, which is so wonderful. And just be witnessed by each other in this moment right now that we're sharing together. I really do love reading people's one sentence responses with no other context. I think it's so beautiful. We all just had very different experiences together in that Five Whys moment. And that is so unique and wonderful. Okay, we've got just a little bit of time left today. So I do want to thank you all so much for already giving me 53 minutes of a very busy time of your year. If you would like to spend more time with me together this year or next, I do have some opportunities to do that. I am a coach, so if you want to do any coaching with me, I am available for coaching and for workshops. I do workshops on meeting culture. I can come in and do one of these goal setting sessions for anyone who ever wants it. I'm running community events next year. So next year is going to be the first opportunity to kind of have a standing monthly goal setting session and wrap up with me. The first one, I just put it in the chat, is going to be on January 5th. Because that's the first Monday that we're kind of all back and back to normal business. So if you want to sign up for that, it is free. There's a suggested donation. You do not have to do that unless paying for a workshop makes you far more likely to actually show up to it, which is why that offer is there. It's a $5 suggested fee, but you do not have to pay anything to sign up for that January Set Your Goals. It will be similar to this, but it will only be a half an hour, and it will probably be closer to 20 minutes because I know that everybody has a lot going on. We're all circling back quite frantically, usually at the beginning of next year. The other thing that I have every single week that I send out is a thoughtful prompt to kick your week off with. So you can subscribe to that newsletter, and it just kind of shows up once a week, sometimes a little bit more. Um, I just have thoughts on meetings. I really want to help people communicate better, and I think meetings are one of the places that we communicate most with other people and are often thinking about exactly how we're doing that the least. So that is my goal there. We have 5 minutes left. Thank you, Alicia. So what I'm going to encourage everybody to do, if you have the time and you want to stick around and do a quick journal journey, there are 3 more questions to just reflect on to bring yourself into next year. So I'll put those in the chat now. But they are: this time next year, I want to feel. This time next year, I want to be. And this time next year, I want to have accomplished. If you want to take these 5 minutes and get yourself ready for your next thing, thank you so, so much for being here. And if not, I'm going to set a 3-minute timer. So just try to spend like 1 minute on each of these questions. They are now in the chat, and I will be quiet so that everybody can answer. So great having you here. We're about halfway through the time, just to keep everyone on track. Hi, thank you. Okay, time is up. Thank you all so much for answering one final journal journey. I know I had everybody do a lot of writing today, but hopefully it was all helpful in some way. Um, I really appreciate you spending this hour with me. I hope you got something out of it. I certainly did. I would love to see all of you in January or at any future event. To close out, if you would like to unmute one final time, I know there's only a few of us, but we can all just wave and say goodbye to each other. And the exit button is in the lower right-hand corner. So as you're waving, you can always exit as you go. Okay. Three, two, one. Goodbye. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thanks for coming. See you later.